Hello, and welcome to the Lucy Liu Show, the fueling station for your mind, business, and life. And now, here's your host, Lucy Liu.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode. Today is a new day full of new opportunities to make a difference in the world around you. Today on the show, I have a special guest who is the master of first times. Anne Bernard is the creator of the 365 Firsts Challenge. It's an app. She is the author of How to Become a First-Time Storyteller, a coach who helps people maximize what they can gain from living through first times and new experiences. The future belongs to creativity, innovation, being open-minded, possessing a growth mindset, and having the ability to quickly adapt to change. She's on a mission to raise the human potential to meet the challenges, needs, and opportunities of the future. And I also love the excitement of new experiences and first times. So without further ado, enjoy our conversation. Thank you for being on the show, Anne.
Thank you, Lucy, for having me.
Oh, I love your show and your apps and everything about you and all the first time excitements of new experiences in life. So tell us about your journey of first times and how you got started.
So I got started on my journey after many failures. I was at a point where I didn't know what to do with my life. So I handed my life over to God. And that's how I found myself traveling the world. I got stationed in Germany. So now I'm traveling the world. I'm in all these new countries. I'm like, if I'm in this new country, I should try something new in a new country. So that's how initially I started pursuing things I had never done before. And then when I returned to the States, I realized, I don't need to be in a new country to do things I've never done before. So I continued pursuing things I've never done before because I realized how happy it was making me. And I was discovering so many different things and also realizing there's so much that I had somehow decided, quote unquote, wasn't for me, that now I'm like, sure, why not? Let me try it. And it really changed and impacted my life and changed my relationship with life.
How does new experiences help us rewire who we are?
So our brains are all about being efficient. So everything that you do day to day, your brain is used to it. So when you do something new, your brain's like, whoa, time out. I don't know how to do this. And it has to rewire. It has to start creating new connections to get you engaged in doing that new things and figuring out, okay, how do I do this? And how do I do this most efficiently? So when you add new experience and you do things you've never done before, especially if it's different motor skills that you're not used to doing, it engages having to learn something new, then it causes your brain to have to start rewiring itself to be able to do this new requirement that now you're putting on it. And it's extremely beneficial to your brain for you to do that.
But unfortunately, our brains are originally by default manufactured, wired to keep us in our comfort zones to protect us.
So comfort zones, I'm not a person that's good. It's true that life begins outside your comfort zone, like exploring, what life has to offer and true growth takes place outside your comfort zone. But I don't bash comfort zone because in your comfort zone, you are at the maximum capacity of being able to produce, right? Being able to do what needs to be done. So you want certain comfort zones because they make you very efficient. At the same time, they also make you stagnant. So you want to keep the comfort zone that makes you efficient, and then you want to explore doing new things and stepping out of your comfort zone so that you can continue to grow and learn and find fascination in being alive.
And would you say these new experiences are crucial to our self-development?
Absolutely. Self-development. It's great to talk about self-development, but talking doesn't get it done. So I promote action-driven self-development with first-time and new experiences. And why first-time and new experiences is because when you do something new, whether or not you're successful at it. Because quite frankly, when you do something you've never done before, don't have the expectation on yourself that one, you're going to be good at it or you're going to be successful at it. It's your first time. Cut yourself some slack and do it for the pleasure of doing that experience for the first time. But when you do that, you release dopamine. And that is the feel good chemical that your brain releases. So the anticipation of doing something you've never done before gets you excited. Then when you do it, you release dopamine. And afterwards, then you're on that high of, oh, wow, that was fun or that was interesting. And so, think back on something that you did for the first time and how excited you were afterwards. You're like, oh, I want to do this again. And then when you did it the next time, it wasn't quite the same thing because you didn't quite get as much of a dopamine release. But once you learn how to rack and stack your first time to maximize your dopamine release, then you get something more than just motivation, because we run out of motivation, we run out of inspiration. But if the chemicals are driving us, then we get into action-driven self-development, and we better ensure that we're going to be successful in what we're trying to do, because we're actually, again, using our own chemical release and our own brains to assist us in that development and that growth.
And a lot of people, when they're starting, whether it's starting something new or just trying something for the first time, there's usually always fear. How do you come about facing all your fears of first times?
So the big thing is to understand what your fear is about. What is it rooted in? What is it based on? So there's two different types of fear in what I teach. So you have what I call unfounded fears. So you have a fear of something, but you've never experienced that. It's never happened to you, but you're afraid of it. So you're afraid of it because you heard it from somebody else. You read about it, and when you were a kid, again, someone else had that experience or influenced you, impacted you, and helped you develop that fear. So it's unfounded. You don't know. So then you have to identify, okay, I've never done this. So why am I afraid of it? Then you figure out what it is. So you can start taking steps to get over it. Now, if you have a fear because, yes, I've tried this before, and it could be like, well, and I've tried something new before and I failed. So now you made the assumption that every new thing that you're going to try is going to create the same, the same emotion, the same result. Or you have to detach from the outcome, and you have to embrace doing things for the sake of doing them, because there's value in it, right? There's more value in doing than in the outcome of what you've done. So that then requires a little bit more pulling the string of what that fear is all about, and then proceeding forward. And it really helps to, have friends that you're going to do it with. When we're just talking about like different first times, have certain friends that you're going to do it with, have people that are going to hold you accountable, that are part of doing that with you. So you share in that experience, and then that develops a greater bond. And that now releases, oxytocin and some other chemicals that are positive for you.
Absolutely. And many times it is the failures that we fear. So what have you learned about your failures?
I've learned a lot from my failures. And there's what the failures themselves taught me in regards. So a lot of my failures have been in business, and, they taught me the mechanical things about business that I didn't know. So you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes what you don't know, well, it gets you in trouble and it leads to failure, but you didn't know. So don't beat yourself up for not knowing everything. So I learned to cut myself some slack, a lot of slack actually. And then I also learned to observe what did that failure imprint on me. And for years, the failures were actually creating a lot of anger in me, because I was comparing my efforts to other people's effort, and they're successful and I'm failing, so I had to overcome the anger that came with it. I had to stop doing the comparison game and realizing, okay, what works for them might not work for me. And that's the biggest thing that I want to see conversations in the self-development industry about, because just because something worked for you It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. You need to have the self-awareness of, I'm going to try this, give it a good go. But if it doesn't work, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to find out what works for me. So that's a lot of what I had to learn from my failures is truly, okay, what works for me and what is right for me.
Absolutely. I go through this with my clients a lot. I always say I respect every guru out there because they're all right. But when you listen to them, it's still possible that it doesn't work for you because we're humans and we're all different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wish that there was more of a caveat, because everybody says, to be successful, you do this. Now, to be successful, I did this. And that's why, a lot of thing with this, with what I do with first time storytelling, is like, tell the story from your perspective. It's your story. Let the audience get what they need out of it. And if they want more expertise from you out of it, then they'll come to you looking for that expertise. But that way, it's like we're sharing our success from our perspective with the understanding that it is not the end all be all to everyone, so that, because otherwise people listen to somebody else and again, it works for them. And then you're beating yourself up because it's not working for you. And then you think there's something wrong with you. No, there might that thing is just not the right thing for you. That's why with the first time in your experiences, I'm not telling you which first time in your experiences to do. You download the app and you create your own list. Now, I will say that, there are different types of first time in your experience. There are those that you've always thought about, you haven't gotten around to it. And then there are those you've never even considered or thought about. And so I would say, explore those that you have never considered, thought about, explore those as well and adding them to your list, because that's going to help you become more open-minded, and it is going to step you further out in your comfort zone, and you might discover whole new options that never before would have come into your life had you not pursued that.
Oh, yes. I've personally downloaded your app and, I go through them like, oh, done. But, there are ones that you come up and makes you think, right? And it opens up your mind and it makes you more creative. What other ways can people be more creative?
Well, this goes back again to how your brain operates, right? And there's so much that happens in our subconscious. There's so much that happens that we don't know. But the more experiences that you feed your brain and you feed your soul, that you feed yourself, your brain is like, oh, well, this is interesting, or this is interesting. And then it stores it. So then when you're trying to solve a problem, and, creativity, sometimes we think about arts, we think about music, we think about books, and the imagination, that's what we tie with creativity. But creativity is applied in problem solving. It's applied in everything that we do and even how we see the world. So when you expose yourself to many different things and then a problem comes your way, for example, then you're like, you have more tools now in your toolkit to solve that problem versus, you might have only known one solution. Now you can get creative and your brain's going to make all these, it's a beautiful thing. It makes all these connections and it's like, where did that come from? And it came from what you fueled yourself with, and it's different, experiences.
Out of your busy life, one of those days, if you're having a low day, what do you do?
Oh, that's a really great question. Well, for me, it being outside. It's so, getting on my mountain bike, going out exploring, new trails, new things. And if I can't go outside, if I can't be outdoors, because it was entirely too hot in Las Vegas to go mountain biking in the summertime, I'll look around the house and try and find something I've never done before. So I'm working on a Rubik's Cube, and I'm trying to learn how to juggle. I'll do something that engages me in a different way that again releases good brain chemical that I know can cheer me up, can get me out of the funk that I'm in. And I love listening to music. I love listening to foreign music. I have I don't know the lyrics. I don't know what they mean, But and then it's that exposure of I'm really kind of paying more attention because I don't understand what it means, but it's engaging me. So I do seek out novelty if I am down and out because I know that it's going to cheer me up.
That's beautiful. What is a quote that you go by in life?
So I have a few of those, but I've recently created a new one since I've launched firsttimestorytelling.com. And it's that when I walk away, because I think, let me backtrack a little bit. So like I said, for me, action-driven self-development is part of my mission of wanting to raise human potential. Another part of that is if we can better communicate who we are, we can make such stronger connection and we can have a better understanding of each other, and that goes a long way. So I've created a quote, and it's when I walk away from a conversation with you, I don't want you to have an opinion of who I am. I want you to have an understanding of who I am. So, everything that I do is in like shifting how we view things. So there's greater clarity and understanding, and how we communicate and express ourselves is critical to that, because, a pain that people carry around is that they feel people don't know them and they don't understand them. And that actually creates a lot of pain in some people's lives.
So if our listeners wants to hear more about you, where can they find you at?
Right now, the best way, because I'm shifting everything to YouTube. So the best way to find me is to go to the First Time Storytelling YouTube channel and the 365 First YouTube channel. So I do a lot of videos about all the things that we've talked about today, you and I, Lucy, and we're going to start some live training, free webinars on there. So that's probably one of the best place to find me is on YouTube.
All right. Thank you for coming, Anne.
Thank you for having me.
To all the beautiful souls listening, thank you for joining me on this episode of The Lucy Liu Show. When I'm not podcasting, I am coaching high-achieving women in life transitions, getting unstuck, kissing overwhelm goodbye, and living a more joyful and fulfilled life through strategic goal setting and mindset transformation. It would mean the world to me if you subscribe, rate, or share this with a friend. And don't forget to join me for the next episode. Remember, there is always a way, and more blessings are coming your way. For free resources and show notes, head over to lucylucoaching.com.